Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $20,000 Modern Invitational here in Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Ross Miriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We have 8 players left in the room competing for the top prize of $4,000 and their likeness on a token drawn by Arcade Post. This is with 8 players left. Should be a really tight finish. But Ross, why don't you give us a rundown of what we're going to be watching here in the top 8?
Well, we're going to be watching a lot of Amulet of Vigor and Primeval Titan because there are 4 copies in the top 8, and none of them are paired against each other.
Okay.
Every single one of our matches here in the quarterfinals is Amulet against not Amulet.
So Amulet versus the World, 4-0 potential.
Yeah, we'll start on the 3-6 match. That is Michael Kowalczyk on Boros Energy against Kolvos on Amulet. Kowalczyk going to be on the play as the 3 seed. This is the match that is off camera, so we're not going to be watching this one, but it'll get played alongside our others. And we've watched this matchup several times today, and Amulet has won every time.
Yeah, I mean, Amulet just seems like not only just a really powerful deck, but just seems like it's quite good against the lion's share of the format, And the Boros Energy deck, it just seems like it kind of knocks it out of the park, and a lot of that has to do with the One Ring, I think.
Now, Kowalczyk does have some tools for the matchup. He has 3 Blood Moons in his 75, 2 main, 1 sideboard. Has 3 copies of White Orchid Phantom in the sideboard, so he's a little bit more prepared than some of our other Boros Energy players. That could help him out in this matchup. But I'm not betting against Amulet against Boros. They win every time.
They do win every time. Welcome to Amulet.
Going down to the bottom of your bracket to stay on that same side. This is one of our backup matches. TJ Radizak on Amulet Titan against Jonathan Fiesmeyer on Hollow One. This matchup is more interesting because the Hollow One deck can be incredibly explosive. It can win as early as turn 3. It has some disruption on the sideboard with Thoughtseize. So that one, I'm giving Fiesmeyer a chance, but TJ's on the play.
Being on the play is a huge deal. These decks, it's a pure race in game 1 for the most part. And then after sideboard, there's some disruptive elements, but still, being on the play 2 out of the 3 games when your deck can win on turn number 2,
yeah,
it's pretty messed up.
As fast and explosive as the Hollow One deck is, the Amulet Titan deck is even more so.
Yeah.
So I think that's just going to be a problem. It does have Blood Moons in the sideboard as well as the Thoughtseizes. So if Fiesmeyer can steal game 1, that would be huge. But just getting to the sideboard games and winning those with Thoughtseizes and Blood Moons is a feasible path to victory there. Going up to the top of your screen, let's look at the 1-8 matchup. That's John Tagliarini on Boros Energy against Gabriel Bolanek on Amulet Titan. Same matchup as the 3-6.
Yeah, but Boros Energy is going to be on the play in that one, and I think that there is some chance that he's able to steal it. The turn 2 Blood Moon off of a Ragavan, very powerful, and this build looks like it has 3 Ragavans, as well as
only one Blood Moon.
Blood Moon?
Has a second in the sideboard, does Tagliarini, so he's a little less prepared than Kowalczyk. Again, I'm going Amulet there. It's shown dominance in the Boros Energy matchup, either being able to roll over with a fast kill or buy time with the One Ring and draw into your threats and set up a combo. The match that we are going to be starting with under camera is the 4-5 matchup. That contains Brendan Lane and Ryan Bellamy.
Yeah.
Bellamy going for his 3rd straight trophy here on the Apex series.
Well, keep going.
Yeah. Also, played the NRG yesterday in Chicago?
I believe it was in Chicago. That's pretty far away from Ohio.
Took 9th at the NRG, 160-person tournament.
Drove all night
to get here for this tournament. He's doing homework in the corner between rounds.
Oh, man.
Just an absolute machine.
Yeah, what a nutter.
However, his opponent, Brendan Lane, no slouch, finished 10th on the leaderboard this year and is playing what I think is the deck that has the best matchup against Amulet Titan, not only in this top 8, but maybe in the format as far as commonly played decks go. And that is Dimir Murktide. Brendan Lane playing the new build with Unearth and Abhorrent Oculus, which I like quite a bit because it allows you to generate a lot of pressure while committing very little mana. Unearth for 1, you can hold up your counter spells. So I'm a fan of this build. There's also 3 copies of Harbinger of the Seas in the 75, 2 main, 1 sideboard. I like the way Lane is set up. I think if I'm Brendan Lane, I look at this top 8 and rub my hands together
Yeah, I mean, for Amulet decks, you have to imagine he's played it at least once or twice in the Swiss portion. The Oculus allows for quicker games thanks to Unearth and just like a very explosive, uh, you know, piece of pressure without much investment. So if he's able to leverage those creatures with a couple counter spells, maybe he can steal the game from Titan before they're able to really set up.
Yeah, so Lane is who I'm looking for to plow through all of these Titan decks. And he's got the number one test, I would say, right up front in Ryan Bellamy, a man who just can't seem to be defeated. Going for his third straight trophy. We'll see which one of those can take it down here in the quarterfinals.
All right. Well, the players are situated and ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down for the quarterfinals of the Apex Gaming $20,000 Modern Invitational. Players we'll be watching are the ones closest to your screen on the camera. It's going to be Brendan Lane on your left on Murktide and Ryan Bellamy on your right with Amulet Titan. Who was the seeded on the play?
So 4 seed is Bellamy, 5 seed is Lane. Bellamy will be on the play here for game 1.
All right. Players have finished mulligans and we're ready to go. Fist bump and land number 1. There's a Saga. That's going to be a quick amulet. And it's not cast either.
Yeah, a quick amulet that is uncounterable, so the ideal against the blue deck.
Bellamy playing like he's got school tomorrow. And he probably does.
Forest Aftermath Analyst, and that will mill Spelunking Analyst and a Shifting Woodland, I believe. Definitely
Yes.
a land beneath those two. Now Lane will fetch up one of these Undercity Sewers, trying to mill either Harbinger of the Seas or Abhorrent Oculus to set up a turn 2 Unearth.
All right, Surveil 1 coming. Top of the deck is Graveyard. Oculus. Whoa. Any Unearth chat?
Well, might wait till turn 3 if he has it, because he has a couple counter spells as well.
I see a Fatal Push. That can pop the Analyst, but still want to hold the counterspell up for now. Saga goes to 3. We're going to float a mana. Going to go get Amulet of Vigor. And now we'll see if Bellamy can punch through this counterspell or what we can offer.
So at this point, has potential of 2 mana. Lotus Field only gets him to 5. Although with lands in the graveyard, Lotus Field into Analyst might get him to 6.
Yeah, and Analyst bringing back a bunch of lands from the graveyard just seems pretty great. So Lotus Field, an excellent addition to the Amulet deck. I talked a little bit with Ryan Hayes between rounds because him and TJ are good friends. TJ, a fellow Amulet player in the top 8. And we got to say, we both said Lotus Field was the one, you know? All right, Bellamy tanking on the land to play.
It's an Echoing Deeps.
Okay, so let's see what land is copied.
Yeah.
And with the mana floating, we're going to play Spelunking. That meets Counterspell.
Looks like it just copied Shifting Woodland.
Okay. And with Force, it does stay untapped. It could have targeted Saga, but it didn't. Oh, here's Harbinger of the Seas.
And Brendan Lane could not get that onto the battlefield fast enough.
Yeah, let's get Harbinger of the Seas on screen when we can because this one is a heater and it will define the rest of this game. Whether or not Bellamy can get it off the battlefield remains to be seen, but I know for a fact that this is the one that he wanted on turn number 3. It's going to shut down so much.
Yeah, so I think the only main deck way to get this off the battlefield is the Singleton Otawara, Soaring City, and of course the Harbinger gives Bellamy plenty of blue mana.
Fatal Push takes care of the Aftermath Analyst, and now we're going to go back to Bellamy after attacking for 2 down to 18. Here's Arboreal Grazer, call that Blocks Diamond.
Yeah, that'll check the Harbinger in combat at least, so Bellamy isn't under any pressure on his life total.
Both force for Bellamy, so that means that we can hard cast one of our double green creatures if we draw it, that Primeval Titan, or the Lumra.
Yeah, Lane pushing the Arboreal Grazer out of the way so he can keep attacking. Really wants to find an Unearth for that Oculus. Could also just naturally draw an Oculus, that would be fine. A Murktide Regent, anything to increase his clock, because Lane has another counterspell.
All right, so I believe that's Thought Scour. We're going to mill 2 and draw a card.
Mills the cards he wanted to draw, Unearth and Psychic Frog.
Text for 2, but still got a grip full of protection. See if Bellamy has anything to play. I see a Saga. That one's rotting. It dies immediately when it comes into play thanks to the Harbinger turning off the Saga chapters. I see a Beseiju. That one's good against Blood Moon, but it's pretty poor against Harbinger.
Okay, the One Ring is nice. That will draw Sink into Stupor.
All right, Frog here for
Okay,
lane.
excellent. Frog will close this game out nice and fast. Harbinger comes across, dropping Bellamy to 12.
You think these players are playing F&M? They're playing so fast.
Now, once the Harbinger is in play, there's not a ton of decision making.
Here's the One Ring. Let's see if lane wants a counter. I might just let it go. I don't know.
Nah, not letting that one go. Easy
All right.
counter. So
Consider. Picks it up. Top of the deck. Gonna put it in the graveyard. Looks like another Thought Scour. Draws Island.
I think I would have liked a Psychic Frog attack before Consider. You're going to draw a random card. I guess if you brick off the Consider, then you get to discard the Frog.
Right, which he did.
Okay.
He found Island and pitched it, and he
Yeah.
kept Spell Snare. We're going to main phase this Consider. Still looking for Oculus, but we'd be happy with a number of things.
I think that was another counter spell after he put Psychic Frog into the graveyard. I would have been tempted to keep that Frog.
Yeah, you got enough pressure. And here's Primeval Titan.
Lane paid off.
Zoop, zap,
Yeah.
zoop.
When Bellamy has both forests, you're really incentivized to find that other counter spell. So heady play there from lane, and this will be over next turn if Bellamy doesn't have any more action.
Okay,
The creatures come across for 4. Bellamy drops to 4. Finds Force of Negation.
Yeah, and so at this point, even if Bellamy casts Primeval Titan next turn, the Harbinger means that we're not comboing, and the Frog can gain flying and +2 counters. Bellamy needs help, doesn't find it. Brennan Lane takes game number 1.
Just say you draw it up. Harbinger of the Seas, one of the absolute best cards in the format against Amulet Titan. Lane cast it on turn 3 as soon as he got the opportunity.
All right, as these players reach to their sideboard for some help, Bellamy down a game with Amulet Titan in a frenzy. Tell me, what does Bellamy have for this Dimir Frogtide matchup? Because that looked brutal.
Yeah, so Bellamy's sideboard is 1 Aether Spellbomb, 1 Bojuka Bog, a 3rd copy of Boseiju Who Endures, a Colossal Sky Turtle, a Defense Grid, a Dismember, an Endurance, 2 Fire Spout, 2 Force of Vigor, a Hydroid Krasis, a Mystical Dispute, a Radiant Fountain, and a Vexing Bauble. Playing against a lot of counterspells, he's going to want the Mystical Dispute. He's going to want the Defense Grid. I also like the Aether Spellbomb as a way to answer Abhorrent Oculus and Murktide Regent. I would consider Dismember. Deals with early frogs a lot of the time. Deals with Oculus. I would also like the Hydroid Krasis. You know, you're going to be trading a lot of resources. Your opponent has a lot of disruption. Krasis is a card that can really pull you ahead. It draws cards even if they counter it. Is a significant threat that can win the game on its own. And you can cast it through Harbinger if you draw one of your basics.
Mm-hmm. All right, on the other side of the table, Brendan Lane up a game with Dimir Frogtide. How is he going to approach this Titan matchup while up a game and on the draw?
He's got some goodies in the sideboard. 4 Consign to Memory, a Graveyard Trespasser, a 3rd copy of Harbinger of the Seas, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Surgical Extraction, 3 Thoughtseize, and 2 Toxic Deluge. The Thoughtseizes will certainly come in. The 3rd Harbinger definitely comes in. And then some number of Consigns. I've liked that card in this matchup, but there's not a ton to bring out for lane. The Spell Snares are weak. They only counter Analyst and Explorer. And the Fatal Pushes are, of course, weak. So those 6 will come out. So I wouldn't be surprised if only 2 Consigns come in. But the Bowmasters are also pretty weak. So you could then bring in all of the Consigns and maybe 2 Surgicals.
Mm-hmm.
Lane has some options. He has plenty of good cards in the sideboard to come in from an already well-positioned main deck.
Okay, well, as these players are finishing up their sideboarding, I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors for this weekend's festivities here at Apex Con. We are sponsored by Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard is the industry leader when it comes to TCG supplies. Check your local game store for excellent products like the Katana Sleeves and the Archive Deck Box today. All right, Bellamy hasn't lost very much. Maybe should have lost 2 rounds ago playing for top 8. Opponent maybe fumbled a line after being up a game.
Yeah, Brandon Lex missing lethal with his Soul Trader combo deck, so Bellamy playing with house money still wants to take it all the way.
All right, players here are ready to go. Let's head on down. Game number 2, Bellamy on the play, leads with Amulet of Vigor, as always. Just mulligans for it every game, obviously good.
With an Urza's Cave as well. That could either find Lotus Field, it could find Basic to play through Harbinger. A lot of options with it.
Okay, here's Spelunking on turn number 2 off of Gruul Turf. It's going to allow for an extra land drop. Turf did not bounce itself, so we are accelerating while developing our mana.
Finds an Urza Saga to play with that Spelunking, so we'll have a second Amulet in 2 turns.
Finds Undercity Seward as Brendan Lane, so we're going to get a Surveil. Looking for another Oculus or something to go into the graveyard, or maybe a land if we're a little short. Finds Oculus again. Sick.
That is incredible. I think I see multiple Harbingers in Brendan Lane's hand.
Okay, let's hope that we get to land number 3. Bellamy taking the Saga up to 2. Plays Urza's. Oh god, I forgot the name.
Cave.
Urza's Cave once again.
Yeah, may just want to sack that Cave this turn and set up for next turn. Could also cave for Cavern Souls if he's afraid of counter spells.
Looks like that's what he's going to do. So we're going to play Consider on the end step. We're going to discard the Unearth. So we just really need the land is all, I guess.
Yeah, if you're Bellamy, that is frightening.
Yeah.
Because the Oculus is already in the graveyard.
We're going to go get that swamp, more than likely. We found Polluted Delta as our fetch land, and that's going to give us a moon effect with Harbinger of the Seas, and it's going to kill the Saga as long as Bellamy doesn't have a response.
Bellamy quickly floats some mana. If he wants to use the Cave, he has to do that in response as well, but he might be floating mana for something else.
He's going to look at the sideboard real quick. He's thinking about cracking the Urza's Cave. Oh, he's just going to activate Urza's Saga to make a construct here.
Interesting. He's going to lose the Saga.
Yep.
But that is still a 2/2, so it checks the Harbinger in combat.
How many dismembers did Bellamy have access to?
Just the one.
Just the one. Well, he's hoping for it now. Ooh, Ether Spellbomb.
Okay.
That's an answer.
That can give him 1 turn. And there's another Amulet of Vigor.
Huh. Here's the beatdown. Take 4.
Also has an Otawara, decides to play that.
Yeah, with the Ether Spellbomb, likely didn't have another land to play. Gonna go ahead and get the source down so we can end of turn Ether Spellbomb, and that might unlock the Primeval Titan next turn. Might just be content attacking with this 4/4 construct over and over again until Lane answers it.
Right, Lane comes across with the Harbinger, so Bellamy down to 18, and then deploys Psychic Frog along with his 4th land post-combat. And now picking up the Harbinger, assuming Bellamy will be bouncing it on the end step.
Okay.
Bellamy says, no, I'm not done setting up.
Patience, young one.
Bellamy either needs to be dead the following turn or certain his plan is going to work to use the Ether Spellbomb, because he only gets 1 shot, 1 opportunity.
Yeah. Are you going to let it slip? Or are you going to eat mom's spaghetti? Throw it up all over your shirt.
Bellamy finds a basic forest. That is helpful for playing through this Harbinger. And he can't wait too long, because the Psychic Frog will find Lane a bunch of disruption.
All right, we're going to tap 3. And here is Spelunking. Going to draw a card.
Now he has another land drop to make.
We think about attack with Construct, because if the frog blocks and discards a bunch, you can then bounce it.
No land there for Bellamy, so his hand must be all spells.
He played Force this turn, I believe.
Could potentially have a bounce land in hand that he wants to save for his combo turn as well.
Land number 5. Grip full of blue cards.
For a guy that needed to find land 3, he's found lands 4 and 5 pretty well. Now gonna get aggressive with this Psychic Frog, discards an Oculus.
Gonna play an Oculus. Eats the graveyard. Now we can swang in with the frog. If there's a block, we can discard 2, or we can just say go. I like say go.
Yeah, that's also a bad sign for Bellamy. It tells him that Brendan's hand is quite good, and he doesn't want to discard 2 cards to trade for the construct.
Right. Okay, Bellamy. Land number 5.
Shifting Woodland off the top.
Yep, remember, Harbinger of the Seas has these all locked down.
Yeah.
It's been the name of the game for both games so far. Brendan Lane in complete control here. Swings for 5 with Oculus. Bellamy down to 13.
And it's not quite lethal next turn.
Okay, Bellamy's going to go ahead and Spellbomb here.
Okay, Bellamy has decided this is the turn. He's going to also use the Cave on the end step.
Yeah, and this is likely going to get Cavern of Souls.
And it does.
And that's going to name Giant. And all that hard work might be immediately undone by a single Ether Spellbomb.
Could, but I think Lane has a Sink into Stupor in hand.
I know he put one into the graveyard from the Aborn Oculus. You may be right. I can't see it.
Bellamy draws, goes to play the Titan now, rethinking.
Okay, let's see if this resolves. 6 mana. Seeking a Stupor is the answer here. Oh, we just have the counterspell trigger on the ability. And we're going to say go. In a turn, we're going to crack 2 fetch lands. And once we get this Harbinger back down, the Titan's not scary anymore. Okay? The Titan is scary when you go infinite. And Harbinger says your lands don't work anymore.
Yeah, and it means that Bellamy can't even find a bounce land to return the Otawara to his hand.
He was really hoping Cavern of Souls would just punch through the card Counterspell. And unfortunately for him, Lane had it all protected.
Yeah, fetches another Undercity Sewers, puts a land in the graveyard. I think that's a Thoughtseize. But does Lane have land 6 to be able to Thoughtseize, Harbinger, and hold up Counterspell? With the Otawara gone, you have to imagine Lane would like to hold up the Counterspell, because I don't think there's another uncounterable way for Bellamy to remove it.
All right, we're going to swing in with the Frog and the Oculus.
Bellamy takes it going to 6. And Lane will draw a card.
I think we were one short of just killing this turn. If we had 6 cards in hand, we could have just jammed.
Thoughtseize shows Summoner's Pact in the One Ring. Lane takes the ring. So Bellamy's hand is just Summoner's Pact. He could pact for Colossal Sky Turtle.
Oh, perhaps Lane punted then by going to get, Huh.
Oh,
Huh.
if he doesn't Thoughtseize, then Bellamy is going to resolve at least one of those 2 cards.
Right, but the ring is beatable. The ring is very beatable, but Summoner's Pact for Turtle and you're dead.
He might be. If he has another Consign, then he'd be fine. He could consign the attack trigger of the Primeval Titan.
Okay. Let's see if he has it. He did tap down to 1 mana up.
And we're not even sure if the turtle is in Bellamy's deck.
Right. And I think maybe if the turtle was there, this game would already be moving along, right? Bellamy knows he needs answers to these cards like the Harbinger, but bounce effects are not that great. That's all he's got, though.
If he doesn't have access to the turtle, then I'm not sure how Bellamy gets out of this. He could find Hydroid Krasis, but then he needs to attack with the Primeval Titan to get a second basic to pay for the Pact next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves him with only 2 blockers. He can Lane can jump the Frog, so you're blocking the Harbinger and the Oculus. Frog, even with that, no discards, along with the 2 manifests, represents lethal.
All right, let's see if Bellamy can figure it out. This is a puzzle for him to solve. Brendan Lane has 1 mana open. I thought I saw a Consign peeking out over there. Here's Expedition Map.
Expedition Map.
There's already an Ottawa in play. Is there another one?
No, there's only 1 in the list, and this is open deck list, so Brendan Lane should be aware of that.
So Titan gonna get in there. Okay, with the attack triggers on the stack, we're gonna cast Summoner's Pact. And we are gonna get the Sky Turtle. Okay, so it is in the deck. And so now Titan trigger still on the stack. We can Sky Turtle either before or after. If we do the Sky Turtle before, we get all the triggers. After, we get the lands untapped. No penalties.
I think Bellamy will want to do it before.
Yeah, and the Titan trigger is still on the stack.
Yeah.
And so he can still consign it after the Sky Turtle. And so
Exactly.
Sky Turtle is going to bounce this. And now, with no cards left in hand for Bellamy, I think consign on the Titan triggers, game over.
Yeah, Lane is just forcing Bellamy to go all in and tie the noose before he acts. Consign the Titan trigger. Now the Harbinger goes back to Lane's hand. Lane can take 6.
And that's it. Brendan Lane defeats Ryan Bellamy, the first person I've seen defeat Bellamy in 2 months. And he takes it down 2-0. Dimir Murktide defeating Amulet Titan. He's got to be just salivating at the idea of playing its Titan 2 more times on his way to becoming the champion of today's event.
Yeah, I think that might be the ideal for
He just winked at us.
Murktide players.
Brendan just winked at us. Awesome. All right.